Patricia, what's taking you so long? I hope you know that the deposit for the class graduation trip is due tomorrow. Otherwise, you'll have to pay a fine for the delayed payment. What are you talking about, Nicole? I already made that payment when the initial request was made. Well, let me be clearer then. What you paid is nowhere near enough. So I'm saying that you need to make an additional payment, okay? Your deposit hardly adds up to anything. I don't understand what you're trying to say. I thought the payment was going towards the deposit for the class trip. What do you mean that it hardly adds up to anything? Regardless, I've already paid the estimated deposit that was on the notice. Oh, you're talking about that payment. That's already been used up. What do you mean by that? That money is already gone, so can you just let it go already? And if you don't want to make the additional payment this time, can you pay the deposit for the next trip then? This is ridiculous. None of this even makes any sense. If you're not going to pay right away, I might have to charge you a late fee for making me wait. I hope you'll agree to make the additional payment. Otherwise, we don't have enough to cover the full deposit amount. And that'll be a huge disappointment for everyone. I'm just really confused. You never even explained what you used the money for. You used the money you collected from us for personal reasons, and without our permission? Yeah, so what? Are you accusing me of something? I can't believe that you had the nerve to use money that doesn't even belong to you. That was supposed to be a collective payment for our class trip. Everyone contributed equally, so you had no right to use it personally. It's really amazing that you find nothing wrong with what you've done. Oh, thank you. It wasn't meant as praise. How can you keep up such a defiant attitude in these circumstances? Don't try to make it seem like it's all my fault. You all decided that I should be the one to handle all the money, so it's partly your responsibility as well, for leaving me with that burden. What are you talking about? You were the one who volunteered to manage the money for this trip. No one forced you to take that position, but you should at least fulfill your duties of handling the money honestly. I have no idea what you're talking about. By the way, I gambled away all of the deposit money, just so you know. I was feeling lucky, so I thought I was going to win big. I can't believe that you'd brag about that. It's nothing to be proud of. You thought you were going to win, so you decided to use our contribution for the class trip so you can bet on some cards? And you didn't think that you were doing anything wrong? Yep, because I was 100% sure that I was going to win. And think about it. If I had won, we would have had more money to use towards our trip. And with the bigger budget, we would have been able to upgrade to a better trip. That's not the point I'm trying to make. That money was collected to pay for our class graduation trip, right? What gives you the right to use it for your personal hobbies? First of all, you all know that I have a gambling habit. So why would you even leave the responsibility to handle all that money to me? You're partly to blame for not thinking things through beforehand. Did you really think that I could hold on to all that money untouched? Anyways, the money's all gone now, so we'll just have to cancel the trip this time. Let's try and plan something again next time. Wait, one of our mom friends just told me that she spotted you playing slots again today. But I hope that she was just mistaken, because who's watching your kids? Are they okay? You said that your husband lives out of state because of his work, right? Don't tell me that you left your kids at home just so you can go gambling. What kind of a mother does that? Oh, my kids are fine. That's nothing for you to worry about. The old hag always wants to take care of my kids, so I'm letting her watch them. Old hag. I'm talking about their grandmother, my in-laws. Since their son isn't around to help with the kids, they said they want to pitch in whenever they can. So I let them babysit the kids from time to time so that I can get away like this. But they don't have a problem with you leaving the kids with them so frequently just so you can go gambling? Are you crazy? Of course I don't tell them that I go gambling. I promised my husband ages ago that I'll never go near the slot machines ever again. What? So you're lying to your in-laws whenever you go out? It's not that big of a deal. Being able to go out and relieve my stress helps keep the peace within our family. And I deserve to take a break from time to time, don't you think? So what's wrong with telling a small lie, as long as it keeps everyone happy? I told them that I signed up for a flower arrangement class, and they never even questioned my intentions. So let me get this straight. You lied to your in-laws and forced the care of your children onto them so that you can go gambling, disregarding the promise you made to your husband about staying away from it. And not only that, you used up the money that was collected to pay the deposit for our class graduation trip, which you were supposed to be looking after. I didn't use it all up, but that's why I'm asking you to make an additional payment. As long as you can chip in a bit more, no one will notice the missing deposit money. I see. So that's why you sent me a message out of the blue. But let me be clear about one thing. I am not paying a single additional cent. Well, in the worst case, we'll just have to cancel this trip. But are you sure that's what you want? This is just ridiculous. Just get the money ready to pay everyone back for their portion of the deposit. It looks like it was a huge mistake to leave you in charge. I'm gonna need some time to think this through. Patricia, what's with the delay? It's already been 4 days since our last conversation, and you still haven't made the additional payment. All the money is gone now, so I hope that you transfer the funds soon. I'm really counting on your additional contribution. What are you talking about? I already told you before, but I have no intention of making any additional payments. If anything, it should be you who needs to pay to make up for everyone's money that you used up. Why would I need to do that? You know exactly why. What happened to the money that we all paid for our kids' graduation trip? The deposit alone was $3,000, which you said you would take the responsibility of collecting from everyone. You said that you took the liberty of using up that money for personal reasons. But do you have an idea when you'll be able to return those funds? It never even crossed my mind about returning that money, to be honest. Huh? You're kidding, right? What's the big deal? We'll just call off this trip, okay? Besides, I told you the money's no longer in my hands, so what other choice do we have? And I'm sorry, but I used all the money on the slot machines. Since we can't pay for the trip anymore, let's just cancel it, okay? Sure, you go ahead and cancel your trip because the rest of us are already on vacation. Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean? You're the one who owes us an explanation. Anyways, we're already here and we have a lot of things planned for the day. I don't understand. What about me? That's not our problem. Let me just tell you that no one here misses your presence, but you still owe us the money that we paid, so you better return it as soon as possible. What? That doesn't make any sense. You're on vacation right now? I don't believe this. I'm the one who's organizing this trip. How is it possible that I'm left behind? Well, we all agreed that we didn't want you handling any more of our money since you can't seem to control your spending habits. And someone suggested that we forget about you for the time being and go through with this trip as planned, but without including you. It seemed like a good enough plan, since we all had taken the time to go off on this trip, so we all jumped on board with this plan. And here we are, having such a great time. What? I was supposed to be collecting all the money for this trip, but I haven't received anything from any of you. How can you be taking this trip without giving me the money first? Why should we have to give you any of our money? The last time we did that, you ended up gambling it all away. But that's not my fault. You guys requested that I hold on to all the money since I was organizing the trip, even though you knew that I had a gambling habit. If you were worried about me spending the money, you shouldn't have given me that responsibility in the first place. No one asked you to take on that responsibility. You volunteered for it yourself. Stop trying to put the blame on someone else just because you messed up. Besides, we trusted you without money. That's why we agreed to let you handle it yourself. I can't believe that you'd betray us like that. And not only that, you've been lying to your husband and your in-laws about your gambling habit. They have no idea what you've been up to. And in the end, you were using money that doesn't even belong to you to supplement your gambling habits. Don't you think that's wrong? What? So is that why you all decided to leave me out and go on this trip without me? Don't you think that's wrong? Well then, let me ask you something. When do you plan on returning the money that you collected from us in the beginning? What do you mean? Oh, don't tell me that you thought we were going to let that go, just because you had to cancel the original trip for lack of funds. Don't forget that it's your fault that there wasn't enough money in the first place. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, so I thought we could just forget about it. It's $3,000. That seems like a pretty big deal to me. And it's definitely not an amount that we can just forget about. So we all expect you to pay us back in full. But why? You're all on the trip already, right? Like it was originally planned. So you got what you wanted. What more do you want? As a matter of fact, everything will be perfect as soon as I join you guys. So tell me where you are so I can head over right away. You already paid for my portion of the trip too, right? No way. You're not seriously asking that, are you? And in that case, you have no intention of paying us back for the deposit, am I right? Well, what other choice do I have? I told you that I spent it all, so what's gone is gone. I see. Then I guess we'll just have to bill your husband for the repayment. What? You can't do that! Why not? You said so yourself that you're unable to pay us back. So isn't it obvious that your husband should return the money on your behalf? And I'm sure he'll want a clear explanation as to why you're in this situation in the first place. No, wait. You can't involve him because he doesn't know that I'm still gambling. Don't you think you're taking things a bit too far? There's no need to tell him what's going on. This is just a misunderstanding within our group of mom friends, so I'm sure we can find a way to resolve it ourselves. Of course, that would be ideal. I don't want to involve any more people than is necessary either, but you're the one who's preventing that from being possible. What you did is not something that can easily be forgiven. We trusted you to hold on to the money that was supposed to go towards this trip, but you went ahead and gambled it all away. So not only did you completely betray our trust, but what you did is no different than stealing from us. How do you expect us to just forget about something like this? In fact, I hope you understand how furious we all are. Thanks to your selfish behavior, we had to plan a new trip itinerary at the last minute. So the least you can do is return the money that you collected from us. How many times do I have to tell you? I don't have the money anymore. I spent it all playing a slot machine. That's nothing more than an excuse, and it surely doesn't make up for what you did. Like I said, we expect you to return our money in full, even if the payments end up coming from your husband. Oh, and by the way, you should probably cancel the original booking that you made because it's too late. You don't want to be slapped with a cancellation fee on top of everything else, do you? What do you mean? Didn't you cancel the original trip when you rebooked with the new itinerary? And why would you make such an assumption? You were the organizer for this trip, so the original booking was under your name. What? So the original booking is still there? That's not good. What am I supposed to do? There's no way that I can afford to pay the cancellation fee. I'm afraid that you'll have to figure this out on your own, but it's nothing more than you deserve for lying and gambling away money that doesn't belong to you. And if you had any common sense, you probably wouldn't be in this situation to begin with. From what I understand, you don't have any personal savings because you've been a full-time housewife since you were married. So I guess that leaves us no choice but to ask your husband to get involved. No way! I won't let that happen. I told you that he lives out of state for his work, so he gives me a monthly allowance which I get to spend any way I want. But if he finds out that I was still gambling, what do you think will happen? Most likely he'll stop giving me any kind of allowance, and I won't have any money to spend on myself. That's not my problem, though, is it? Well, if you're so adamant about keeping your husband from getting involved, then perhaps I should get in touch with your in-laws instead. I can inform them that their daughter-in-law isn't actually attending a flower arrangement class when she leaves her kids with them. And I have no problem revealing to them where you really are during that time. No, you can't do that. If they find out that I've been lying to them, I won't be able to leave my kids with them anymore. After all this, you're still thinking about going somewhere that you can't bring your kids along with you? That's some kind of nerve that you have. I thought you would have learned your lesson after this incident, but you're not going to give up yet, huh? I appreciate the praise, but just promise me that you won't tell my husband, okay? It wasn't meant as any kind of praise. I'm just surprised that you're not the least bit discouraged after everything that's happened. Anyways, I've already sent the photos as proof to your husband, so I guess I just have to wait now. You did what? I was able to look up your husband's contact information from the class list, so I just sent everything to him. Why would you do that when I asked you specifically not to involve him? Well, I'm sure you should be hearing from him soon. That was totally uncalled for. How will you take responsibility if this causes our relationship to go downhill? I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, but don't forget that you were the one who was lying to him this whole time. Or are you still in denial about what you've done? Anyways, it doesn't seem like your gambling habit will go away no matter who says what or how many times you make the same mistake. But I hope that you can at least acknowledge the seriousness of your problem as a result of this incident. Okay, I get it. I was wrong all along. So please, let's just settle all of this between us and not involve my husband, okay? You'll let him know that it was just a misunderstanding, right? Besides, why do you even have photos of me playing slots to begin with? When did you even take those pictures? I had a feeling that they might come in handy at some point, so I took them just the other day. And I guess my instincts were right. I'm glad that I have these photos as proof. You know that I don't have any money of my own because I'm a full-time housewife. How do you expect me to pay back such a large amount of money? It's just impossible. And if my husband finds out that I caused this trouble again, he probably won't forgive me this time. What do you mean again? Were you involved in a similar sort of situation somewhere else before? Oh, is that why you transferred to this school in the middle of the year? It all makes sense now. There's no point in digging up the past. Who cares about what happened at my previous school anyways? We've been getting along perfectly fine since I moved here. And I promise that I'll do my best to stay completely away from the slot machines. Let's just all get along from now on, okay? And let's just forget about the money for the time being. You can't put a price on our friendship, don't you agree? Sure, except we're talking about $3,000 here. It's not an amount that we can just forget about, as you say. If you're not willing to pay that money back, you leave us with no choice but to go to the police to file a complaint. A complaint? What do you mean? There's no need to involve the police. You stole $3,000 from us. That's a big enough crime to get the police involved. Well, if your husband is out of the question, why don't you ask your in-laws for help? If they're willing to, that is. I mean, you did lie to them about the reason why you were leaving your kids with them. I wouldn't be surprised if they turned you down. The last time I was involved in money trouble, I promised my husband that I would stay away from the slot machines. For good. But if he finds out that I hadn't been keeping that promise this whole time, he probably won't give me a second chance again. What if he doesn't forgive me anymore? Patricia, please, you have to help me out. I don't know why you think that I would even consider helping you out. You brought all of this onto yourself. I'm afraid that there isn't much that I can do to make this situation better for you. Oh, don't be like that. What does everyone else in the group say? I'm sure they're all worried about me and wondering why I'm not on the trip with them. Worried? About what? We all agree that this is what you deserve. It's about time you get a taste of your own medicine. What? That can't be true. Our class graduation trip was about to be completely ruined because of you. It's a good thing that we were able to rearrange everything at the last minute, though. No thanks to you. Anyways, it's not even worth discussing anymore because we've decided to cut all ties with you from now on. What do you mean that you're gonna cut ties with me? I thought we were friends. I don't know about you, but I'd rather not be friends with a lying thief. But the first thing you need to do is pay back every single cent of our money that you collected before saying things like that. Although I'm pretty sure that you won't be invited to any more gatherings with our group of mom friends anymore. On the other hand, you'll be free to enjoy all the gambling that you want without anyone telling you otherwise. I hope you're happy now that you no longer have to hide your gambling problem from us. Later, we found out that Nicole's gambling was the cause of some trouble in their previous neighborhood as well before they moved here. It turns out that she'd borrowed money and ended up not being able to repay it because she used it all up. Sounds pretty similar to what she did here, huh? Anyways, her husband stepped in and paid the money back on her behalf that time. However, he had had enough of her gambling and decided that he wasn't going to be as understanding this time around. Nicole had promised her husband after the previous time that she would never gamble again. But look where we are now. Not only did she not keep her promise, but she also lied about it as well. Her husband wasn't going to make the same mistake again and let her off the hook so easily this time. And in fact, he told her that he wanted a divorce. Nicole was forced to move out of her home and even lost custody of her children. After the divorce was finalized, her husband and children ended up moving in with her former in-laws. She lost a kind, understanding husband who was willing to forgive her mistake the first time, but to make the same exact mistake again? Unfortunately, she has only herself to blame for how things turned out. Her husband ended up repaying the deposit money to us initially, but he added that amount to the settlement he demanded from her after their divorce. Everyone in our group of mom friends blocked her contact right after this incident, so she was no longer able to contact any of us. Apparently, she's been looking for work, all alone with no one to rely on. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to see more content.